Hey y'all, hey, it's your girl, B, Tina, B. Hey! And it's time for Faith Talks, y'all. I am so excited that you guys are here tonight. I am excited today. We're just gonna chit chat and chew the fat a little bit more with some people that are very dear to me. As you know, we have none other than Pastor Samuel K. Shaw. Come on in, come on in.
Hey everybody, what's going on?
Look, try to make it do what it do. Try to make it do what it do.
Hey, that's all you can do is make it do what it do. Hey,
It
and
must be.
look, and
Mm-hmm.
know God to do the rest.
Yes, he will. Yes, he will. Look like you might be it's storming down there again. Right about now.
No, right now I think we good. Probably just cloudy. Haven't seen any rain or anything yet.
Okay, okay. So we were sitting up here and we were talking about some of the sign of the times, but before we go into the sign of the times and some of our other discussions, I like to bring on none other than one of my favorite cousins. Ronald Ford. What's going on? What's going on?
Hey, cuz, how's it going? Oh man, I'm doing awesome
With
without no
no
hand.
hand.
It's like 15 steps. I had to
Yes.
do 20 in the hospital just to come home.
Wow.
Yeah, I had to do those steps first before I came home.
Listen,
Yeah.
he's in one of his favorite places. One of the reasons why, with this Faith Talk series, we have biblical foundation that we like to stand upon. It's not a Bible study per se, but it is a conversation to have about everyday, ordinary people, superstars, educators, motivators, men, women, boys, and girls, children, along all areas and walks of life. And I wanted to share with you a miracle. Um, uh, this young man, Ronald Ford, and how his faith helped him to get to the place where he could walk down 15 steps with no hands. Come on here. Yeah, I know, right?
It's
Uh,
I'm speechless. That's so speechless right now. Oh man,
Tell us,
it's
tell our
go ahead.
audience about what happened. It was a crazy time because um the premise of this is that we're all going through colorful seasons of life. This is stuff, the colorful seasons of life is not new. We've always gone through colorful seasons of life.
Yeah,
You're RJ in the background.
yeah.
Thank you for watching, guys. Make sure you say hello. Drop in the chat where you're watching from. Thank you so much for watching the Tina B Show, Faith Talks, Colorful Seasons. But as I was saying, with this particular, with Ronald Ford, what's so powerful about it is this was pre-pandemic. So colorful seasons, as I stated before, we've always been in colorful seasons of life. And let's talk about what was happening then. Tell us about what happened at that moment. In the
Well, well, at first, it was a nice Sunday afternoon. And and by the way, I work with mental challenged adults and teenagers, out in the community setting. So I was just about to get off from work, and I felt so tired, and sleepy, and all of a sudden, um, I was like, it can't be, I'm wide awake, I'm hyped, it's Friday, man, I'm gonna get off from work. So all of a sudden, when I get off the ramp, got so tired and yo, man, it's the most incredible, incredible thing. And all of a sudden, I just had stopped went to sleep. I just went to sleep, and I didn't wake up until like Sunday. I was coming out Sunday night. I was late Sunday night coming out of surgery. Never forget it. And yeah, wow.
I understand.
I passed out as I was driving due to my condition. I got, my heart condition. As I was driving, um, it just seemed like, somebody just said, don't, just, just lay down. Confident. I was so confident with everything. And, like I said, I just woke up in the hospital. Never know what happened and everything.
So you never knew what happened. You woke up and you were in the hospital.
Correct.
And at that time, so
Mhm. Hold on. Now everybody wants to talk at the same
it's
time.
okay because challenging. So just to kind of help him out a little bit, he was in the I got the phone call that he was in the hospital and had gotten into a very life-threatening accident. And when I went in and I saw him, and he had all these rods in his legs.
Mhm.
I mean,
Oh,
he ain't no bigger than a gnat, but his one leg was like the size of two of mine, and y'all know I'm thick.
ah,
You
that's
know,
okay,
and so
cuz.
I was sitting up here looking, and I
That's
was like, Lord have mercy, what in the world is going on? And he had all these surgeries. How many surgeries have you had so far?
uh, oh man. The last surgery was 11 within within 6 months.
11
And
surgeries
Wow.
within
the
six
last sur-
months.
the last surgery I had was a defibrillator. I got that caused everything. I passed out. That was it. It was T-bone. And the good thing about it, I was so comfortable. I didn't feel nothing, y'all. I didn't feel no bang,
Come on
no
here.
breaking glass, no nothing, no pain. There was no pain. It was like, come on, lay your head down, and I got you. I know you finna go through some serious, serious stuff that I was never unaware of, never felt. Only pain I felt was, man, uh, shame. It hurt. Like, wow, how this happened to me. But I
Wow.
never questioned asked nobody what happened. But when I woke up, no, I say before I wake up, I was in a dark, dark, dark room, floating around. Went to the lobby, seen everybody there, and I'm like, there's a party going on without me. What is going on? Son cried for me 3 times. Daddy, 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 where daddy at? I'm right here. He ran through me. I knew something wasn't right. When I tried to figure it out,
You had an out of body experience.
That's what it
um,
sounds like. Yeah.
I said, if I let you out, just promise me you won't look back, and I was so confused. And then my son kept hollering for me, and that gave me the courage right now to live, and to get over this. And when he cried for me and I tried to grab him and I couldn't reach him, I knew something was wrong. And that voice came to me again and said, if I let, wake me up to the center, promise me you won't look back. So I say, yes, I won't look back.
Mm.
That's when I woke up out of my coma with tubes down my throat, needle down like Freddy Krueger. And I'm like, what is going on? And when they finally told me, and I was like, wow, I couldn't do nothing but cry. I broke shoulder, rib, hip, pelvis, leg, everything on my left side.
Oh.
They say, I don't know if, I mean, you to walk again. It took me a whole year to walk again. It took me a whole year to use my, record. everything. I had to start over. I was like a baby, and the Memphis thing, he was just looking at me in the shape I was, and I had to look in that mirror every day, like the man in the mirror. It's not me.
Mm.
I I was wearing 230. I came out wearing 130.
Wow.
So I mean, it's just been a journey, a long journey, and I thank everybody for the prayers that I got that got me better, gave me strength. It was that will wanna. I thank you, cuz, for being there with me on that journey, man. I thank you a lot. I
I
really
want to
do.
go back and revisit something that you said because, and I want to make sure that it was clear of what he said because he was having an out of body experience while he was in that coma, and the Lord was saying that He would let him out of here. If I let you out, He said,
So, man,
I'm not going to look back. And that doesn't mean that you don't make mistakes and that you're imperfect. It's just that you have uh, changed your course and who you're living for. But one of the things that was so powerful about this conversation that I've had with him prior to this is that when they had told him that he was never going to walk, well, there was a chance that he might not ever walk again,
well,
use some of his body parts. Um, he looked in the mirror, and what did you say when you looked in the mirror?
oh man, the man in the mirror, Michael Jackson. That's not me. It's
He
not.
said he was not the man that was not going to walk again. Did you hear what he said? He looked in the mirror even after the doctors told him that he may not ever walk again. And he
I'm gonna
said,
walk.
that is not me. He spoke a word because the Bible says you have power of life and death, and it's about in the power of your tongue. He spoke a word over himself and he said that whatever the doctor said, that is not me. And then he started doing some self therapy. Everything that the doctor was telling him to do, he was doing it and then some. And I think it's just amazing that when we see him and when we saw him, and every time we talked to his wife, and there were some times when you felt like there was no help, didn't you? But where did you find your help? In who?
God,
You found your help.
family,
Uh-huh. And who did you say first?
RJ,
RJ, God, and family. You said
God,
family. I
the
mean, that
family.
was the inspiration. RJ was the
Correct.
inspiration because because everybody needs some inspiration. He had to live for his son. It was like, did you anything that kind of stuck to you, Shaw?
I mean, just listening to it is, so traumatic. And I can just imagine him reliving it. I hear him, as he
Yeah.
pauses and and gathers his thoughts in his mind. Such a traumatic experience. But to come through it, it takes you to hold on to your faith and your trust in God to get through moments like that. It's powerful to hear you say that. Hey, looking in the mirror is like, you know, knowing that that's not you, but not settling for what they said could be you. And when you get to that place to where you says, I'm not going to settle for that diagnosis and settle for that for my life. I'm believing in something greater. I'm believing in something more powerful. And too many times we as a people have a tendency of settling for what somebody else put on us or what somebody else, determine our life to be. And they just show you're just a living testimony to prove that when you determine in your mind and in your heart that I know the greater for me, and I'm going to reach for that greater and not what everybody else put on me, you have the power to rise above it and to go through it and to really become what you believe. There is so much power in belief.
And listen, so much power in belief, and that was one of the things, because I know it's emotional for you to talk about. It's something that that's kind of hard, because you have to revisit and you have to relive that moment of pain and being in that coma and having that out of body experience where you tried to grab your son, and he went through you, and you heard that small voice and it was like, I'll let you back out there, but you don't, you go back to where you at. But and then let me, and that kind of segues us to what, Pastor Shaw, you want to talk about signs of the time. That was your sign saying that you couldn't go back. Am I correct, Ronald?
Yeah.
That was your
Yeah.
sign. Can you expound upon that for us a little bit, Shaw? And I know you have a lot going on with RJ in the background, so if you have to tap out, let me know. But I want to make sure that I gave you a chance to give your
You
testimony
did.
of how.
Not only that, because I cut you short, but it was the weight on me and my family was so bearing. I say a week right before my last surgery, and I had just got out the hospital a month later. My wife, she went in.
That's right.
She was on
Repeat
life
that.
support.
You're going out. Tell them again about your wife. What happened with your wife? Can you tell them one more time?
My wife, uh, she made it to the hospital. Her throat closed up on her. She made it
Wow.
just in time. As soon as she went through the hospital door, they rushed her to the emergency room. And as soon they barely got the tube down the throat, but they got it in just in time. I thought it was acid reflux. I said, sit down. Acid reflux. He said, no, I'm gone. She got up middle of the night and left. And when I looked at the Lord and I got on my knees, I said, okay, yeah, I, wow. It came really hard on me. But faith, I just had that faith, that faith in me. Don't give up. She came out of Monday, so it was great.
So
Diagnosed everything. Swelling went down and everything.
a week before his last surgery, his wife's throat closed up on him. Here they were trying to get him together, and here he
Right.
was after listen me, men. After he prayed for himself, he prayed for his wife.
Mm,
And he fell
mm,
down on his knees and he interceded.
Yeah,
And the same
I
faith
couldn't.
that he used to make sure to ask God to help him, he asked God to help his wife. Come on here.
mm,
Yeah,
So what's good for the goose is good for the gander.
yeah.
mm,
That's what I
mm.
hear. And see, that was
No
your
matter
sign.
what, it's no matter what we go through. People just don't pray, 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 man.
You're breaking up a little. You're breaking up a little bit. You're going
Okay.
in and out of service. You're going in and out of service. And I was trying to make sure that I was able to relay the message for you, and maybe location at this time. But when you have situations like this happen, and sometimes the sign, again, Pastor Shaw, I would love for you to expound upon. Sometimes we need to know ahead of time, and something the knowing ahead of time, the knowing ahead of time, and if you will allow me to connect this, as children, we grew up in church knowing the word of God, okay,
Mhm.
and we know that there were going to be times that were going to be difficult.
Right.
So we knew and were taught to call on the name of the Lord,
Right.
but we didn't know when the time was going to come that was difficult.
Right.
Had he not known to call on the name of the Lord in his difficult time, this could be a whole different story.
True.
Okay. So
Absolutely.
so he in those surgeries and in having to come in and come back out and talking to the doctors, and they were saying, I don't know about this, and we're gonna have to go back in, and we're gonna have to do this, and we're gonna have to put this here, and we're gonna have to move that there. It was challenging. I want to thank you for just sharing that it was your faith in God that helped you too. It was the prayers and being able to speak a word and saying, yeah, they said that this was going to happen to me. But that man in the mirror that they saw that was sick and that was not doing well, you spoke out your mouth and said, this is not to me. And look at you now,
Hmm.
walking, talking, got a new heart, able to cook in that beautiful kitchen of yours.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Oh, and
We
thank
want to
you.
thank
Thank
we want to thank you so much for coming and joining us tonight. You have been instrumental, and just I hope it encourages somebody to let them
thank
know that when they look in the mirror and it's something negative, look in that mirror and you speak with the speak and say, "Nah, that's not me," because I am who God and what God says I am. Thanks, Ron. I'll holler back at you later. Okay.
you. Love you guys. Thank you. Nice to meet you. God
Bless
bless.
you, man. Hang
God
in
be
there,
safe.
man. Keep pressing, Doc.
All right.
Oh, we always, always.
All right. Take care.
Mhm.
All right. That was I wish he could. He got. I think he got a little nervous. He got a little nervous, and it's powerful when you have to talk about things that you have gone through in life, and
Yeah, and I
I
have to regurgitate all of that trauma. I mean, it's it just brought me to a whole nother thing, man. Dealing with just mental health, man. And just being in a healthy spot. But living that trauma all over again, man, is just don't get me wrong. I mean, it is helpful for other people to hear and to see all that he went through to encourage someone else's faith. But you could just tell how traumatizing it was for him
it
to
is.
talk about it and to relive it and to go back over it and over it again and recall this event, recall that event. Um, it's really challenging. It's really taxing on his mind and his heart. He's definitely a testimony, and it goes back to when God really releases us to really share things that because we have to be delivered from those things and heal from those things physically, mentally, and emotionally, to be able to walk back through it and talk about it, and
It's true.
he was tearing up, man. He was, he was getting emotional,
Yeah.
um, just talking about it. But his faith has just been so valuable to him in that process. Now, that accident you were saying happened pre-pandemic. Uh,
Right.
And so that all happened before the pandemic hit. And so, you talk about even now when we're still in the pandemic. But
Another
there's
colorful season. Mm-hmm.
absolutely, absolutely. And we basically have to become Ronald all over again to will ourselves through this colorful season, as you would call it, trying time, chaotic experience, to believe that, hey, I'm not going to fall victim to this thing. I'm not going to, allow myself to be, a casualty of these circumstances. But you just got to keep your mind fresh and your mind really connected to God in these times. And if you don't, you are easily. There's so many people that are wrestling with the fact whether the pandemic is true, whether this is. I mean,
Right. It's a season in life, and I think that's why I wanted to go back and remind people that prior to the pandemic, there were things that were happening that were weighty, okay, that caused us some uh, grief situations, and we made it through. I
Mm-hmm.
want people to see that back then he made it through that difficult situation. We're in a pandemic and we're in a difficult situation, and it is still a colorful season. And if we made it through that back then, that we can make it through right now. It's still a colorful, a different type of crayon, a different
Mm-hmm.
color.
Mm-hmm.
It's still a season.
Mm-hmm.
And if we made it through back then,
Mm-hmm.
we're going to make it through now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, it still just depends on what you're holding on to.
Oh, talk
Um,
about that, sir.
I mean, that's the whole point of the picture right there. Is that, what are you really holding on to? Um, when you really deal with the fact that people now, wrestling with whether to take the vaccine, not to take the vaccine, whether the vaccine is even helpful. I heard just the other day about um, somebody that's in my circle that I talked to, had a friend of theirs, wife to die. Neither of them had taken the vaccine, and she ran into either Delta or the coronavirus, and had some heart complications and died. Just, I mean, literally within 48 hours. And it's like, it, you look on TV, you see these games, and a whole lot of people are at the games, no mask, um, you know, and they're just running around, haphazardly. And then you ask us, do we have the faith? What is faith in the pandemic? And I mean, we was in the book of James last night in Bible study, and James talks about that. Hey, faith without works is dead. That you can have all the faith you want, but if what I call it, if your faith don't have legs, if your faith don't have no legs to make things happen, you I mean, you're in bad shape. I mean, even in Ronald's condition and place, his faith began to have legs through his circumstances and his situation, that he refused to allow his faith to die in that traumatic experience. And we are in the same place with this pandemic, that we got to be at a place where we refuse to let our faith die, that you know that regardless of what the world is saying and how crazy it is, that yeah, I need something to fight with. Not saying that our faith is in the vaccine, but our faith is in the God that keeps us and protects us even in the midst of it. But the vaccine is just another stem of faith, to where God made medicine, God made everything. The earth is the Lord, the fullness thereof, the world and they that dwell therein. Everything was made by Him and made for Him, and made through Him. And so you got to use those things to continue to live and to be great. I don't want to die before my time. And there's a lot of people that are just, literally, they are just so literally, taking this thing as a joke and not really believing um, that this thing could take you out.
Well, and I pray that I pray healing. I pray that we're safe, and that that we use wisdom. Because I heard, as I had a little bit of technical difficulty. I had to go get my cord real quick, and you said that someone died within 24 hours of being contacted.
Basically 48 hours.
48 hours. My
Yep.
God.
Yep. Never took the vaccine. Husband and wife never took the vaccine. I think the husband had the virus, gave it to the wife, and within 48 hours of her, she passed away. He
Jesus have
still
mercy.
lives, but she died, and they're funeralizing her this weekend.
Oh
And
wow.
it's like, I mean, I don't. Everybody, is different, man, and I'm not. It's not that saying that we got total faith in the vaccine, that everything this and that. That's where our hope lies. I hope don't lie in that. But hey, I mean, why buy insurance for a car? If you
You'll say that. You say that.
if you don't believe you're gonna make it to your destination, but we still get insurance just in case accident happened. And
Mhm.
that's what the vaccine is for us. It's our insurance just in case we run through something. It's not to say that our God is not going to hold us and keep us, but I mean, everybody's story and everybody's life is not the same. But what you holding on to, what are you believing in? What are you trusting in? Um, and I rather have God and not need Him than need Him and don't have
Then
Him.
you don't have them. Say that right there. Say that. Say that. I didn't.
So
It was. It was. It. I sound like Porky Pig. It. Or either that I was Mix Max the Mac.
oh God.
You hear
Um,
yourself sometime. I sit up here and I'm like, what in the world? That's all, folks.
yeah.
I have those moments. I don't, and we got to the vaccine and just talking and hearing and having that moment and seeing before camera because he was really excited about it. And then when he actually got to actually talk about what he had gone through, it still affects him to this day. It
Yeah.
still affects him to this day. The out of body experience that he had, the fact that he knew that he had to pray, the fact that he knew that the fact that he knew that something was going on. It's just a lot. It's just a lot.
I
And
mean,
I
even
want
going back to before the accident, you know, to me, he didn't even know he had a condition or a situation that would make him fall asleep
right.
like that, and it just behooves us, to stay in a place where we're definitely getting our checkups and going to the doctor.
So
Um,
absolutely go ahead and make sure you get those checkups. Go to the doctor. Make sure things are going all right because we're concerned, especially in our community. It's very important, especially now, because we don't, it's some of the little things that will happen.
mhm.
Um, okay, so listen, while we are here, I'm gonna give you a couple of minutes because I want to make sure I hold to my true to my word. We were talking about
Mhm.
it's a car.
Mhm.
Recognize the sign of the time.
Right. Right. The tribe of Issachar, one of the 12 tribes of
One of the
Israel,
12 tribes, yes. Uh-huh.
right? And their
Yeah.
specialty was that they were the leadership crew. They were the leaders, and they knew the times and they knew what to do. And in times like this, in the pandemic and life crisis and tragedies and things, you need to be connected with somebody that knows the times and that knows what to do. I think even with churches now and pastors, every pastor I believe needs a pastor. And with churches are closing down and things like that, because of just the lack of the attendance or lack of technology to continue to move on. You need to know the times, but then you need to also know what to do. Whether you're going to be that church that weathers the storm, or whether you're going to be that church that has to partner with another church, just so that the kingdom of God can continue to
Oh,
grow.
that's powerful. Now, I never that's something that's good. Now, back in the day, we used to partner up and do revivals. Okay.
Hmm.
And so to hear you say that during a pandemic, that church just can consider partnering up together
Hmm.
to keep the existing, to keep the word flowing, and to keep doors open. That I didn't even think about that, Shaw. That was
Mhm.
good.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you know, the thing is that you got to get pride and self out of the way for
Mm,
those moments to take place.
mm-hmm.
Too many times, people are just caught up with our church name, and I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I know a lot of churches went through a lot to get to where they
Absolutely.
are now.
Absolutely.
But there comes a time when you have to pivot. We talked about that, and you have
Mm-hmm.
to shift. And hey, there were times when we were blacks in a white church and could not have our own church.
That's true.
That's historical of the
That's
church
it's a
itself.
fact. It's a truth.
And so now you have to shift again to where in the pandemic, okay, God ain't gonna call the roll and say who was at First Beulah Baptist Church. First Beulah made it in. No, it
You can
ain't
do more.
the stuff that we doing right now, man. It ain't about First Beulah. It ain't about Mount Olive. It ain't about nothing. It's just about the kingdom. And we got to get ourselves out of the way so that God's kingdom can grow. And sometimes it takes us to partner, two churches coming together, three churches coming together, and to have at least a collage of people, of workers, to make some things happen, and that we can continue to move on the kingdom.
Amen. Yes, so true. So true. So true.
You know?
Look, we're going a little overtime. I'm trying to keep it to about 30, about 30 minutes or something like that.
Right.
Unless it get hot and heavy. We'll come back here. We're gonna revisit this. Listen, this is your girl B Tina B again with none other than my brother from another mother, Pastor Samuel K. Shaw. It is always good to holler at you, to talk to you, and for us to have these conversations about faith. Just to encourage and just to let people know that, hey, if you got through that, you can get through this. The
Amen.
sign of the time is that there's going to be a time in your life when you're going to go through something. You're going to
Right.
have some situations that are going to happen in life, and you're not going to know who to call on, or who you normally call on may not be there. You may not know what to do. You don't know which way to turn. And that is your sign that you should exercise your faith. Use your magic marker in these colorful seasons. We've been here before. We've been in situations before. It's a little heavier sometimes. This may be a little lighter than some of the things that you've been going through. But I dare you to try faith. It's your
Amen.
girl, Tina, be on the fly. And we out.